Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Karina, and I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my partner, our two kitties, and my two horses. And I'm walking out to the barn on this lovely day, which is May 31st, 2024. It is 6:15-ish in the morning. And as you can see, it is blue skies. It's going to be bright and sunny. It is currently, I don't know, around 40 degrees. It's pretty chilly out, actually. And it's supposed to get up to near 70 today, so I'm excited about that. Normally Fridays are my day off. I do have to work for a couple hours this morning, so I need to get ready for that. I also need to run to the vet's office to pick up some allergy shots for Bragi, because he gets something called sweet itch, and it's a reaction from a kind of no-see-ums or midges or bugs that like to bite his tummy. So I kind of keep it at bay by using all kinds of fly spray and a topical ointment called something that I'm not thinking of at the moment, that looks kind of like Desitin, and it just really kind of provides a shield. It's called SWAT, is what it's called. Speaking of Bragi, I just saw his ears, and there they are waiting for their breakfast. Bragi and Odin the Mustangs. So I have to go do that, and then Bragi and I are going to have a lesson with my trainer, our trainer, and continue our work on trailer loading. Good morning, boys. So I'm going to get to feeding, and then I'll talk about knitting. Good morning again, everyone. Welcome to the knitting portion of my YouTube channel. I'll also talk about life. Shall we get started? Shall we catch up? I was just thinking about Prairie Home Companion when Garrison Keillor was the host of that, and at the end he always did talked about Lake Wobegon, a fictional Midwest town, and just kind of did a stream of consciousness that ended up being a cool story. And he always started it, "It's been a quiet week at Lake Wobegon," or something like that. So before I get into my Lake Wobegon kind of story of the week, I'll just talk about knitting. How would that be? So first of all, I want to point out I'm wearing a summer sock camp t-shirt from last year. I did not buy this year's t-shirt. It's a 90s theme. If you are following the Crazy Sock Lady podcast and are participating in summer sock camp, that particular color scheme did not appeal to me, so I didn't go for it this year, and I frankly have enough t-shirts for now. Maybe next year. So, finished object. So these are the Lumme socks. I have been wearing them. They are not blocked. I have been wearing them, so hopefully you can get an idea. Well, maybe if I get my fingers out of the way, you can see the lace in the cuff. It's a garter type heel. These are toe up socks, and then there is some lace in the toe, which is actually pretty hard to see. The yarn is Freckled Whimsy, so you can see it on that one there. Freckled Whimsy, I don't remember the colorway, but one of the Yarn of the Month clubs. So here, and they are left and right. There's the lace on this one. I wear them however I feel like it. So sometimes I think this is supposed to be the way it is, although I'm not sure. it could be this way, so that the lace piece is on the outside rather than the inside. I just put them on. I don't think about it very much. So I love this colorway. I love the blue and the white and the lavender. Some of my favorite colors I wear a lot. I have works in progress. I have a cowl that is in hibernation. I have the over the knee socks that I haven't worked on very much, so I was thinking of skipping showing those because I'm still on the first sock. I'm still on the leg in the decreases, getting down closer to the heel, but I'm still too far off to really show that there was progress. I mean, I was hoping to do like 4, pardon me while I get my tea, 4 rows a day, but I just, it's been a busy week at Lake Wobegon. Although that's not what I call this place. I call this place Hoot Owl Haven. And it's because a lot of times we have owls around. I haven't really noticed any lately. Usually over the winter we have great horned owls, and then in the summertime we have barred owls. And I feel like we didn't have as many great horned owls over the winter as we have in winters past. So I'm not sure. It was a bit of a kind of a mild winter, and maybe they were hanging out somewhere colder. Works in progress. So you have seen this project before. This is project bag that my partner Randy made me. This is what he promised for Christmas. So these are leather scraps with a wool liner. He has an industrial machine. He makes bicycle bags for bicycle touring. And the handle is a belt that his mom gave him when he was in high school. And he never wore it because it was just too narrow for his taste. But it makes great handles. So in this bag is another project bag. So this is a bag that quilted bag that my mom made me. I've showed this many times. It's lined with this polka dot fabric. It has a zipper, and it has this neat quilted dragonfly fabric. So these are the Scrappy quilt socks by Kay Jones. So, and I am doing them in the Blanket Club by Polka Dot Creek. Let me see if I can. So I'm sure that YouTube, with its sense of humor, if something like that can have a sense of humor, will show one of these pages. So here's, this is the colors that I'm using. I did the first sock in the exact same scheme. So here's the first sock. I haven't woven in the ends yet. So that is in the same order that Kay Jones sample is. So this is a 9 skein, mini skein club. This was the April colorways. So very pretty. And then I decided it was too much work to try to match them. So my second sock is more random. So just whatever I grab. So you can see it's quite a different sock. But, you know, I'll know that they match. So it looks like this. And and in fact, the heels turned out to be the same, which I think is kind of interesting. The other colors are not in order. I used Chowgu red lace, size 0, 32 inch. These are bamboo, and I knit left-handed, so it's my gauge is a little bit looser than when I knit right-handed, so that's why I have the small needles. I am on the foot. I'm still doing the gusset decreases, and I expect to have these finished in the next week. So that is where I am at with this whip, whipping right along with the whips. And then I have a new cast on. So you might, if you watched my video last week, you will have seen the Scrappy raglan sweater that I made. This bag isn't anything special. It's just I think it was originally a shopping bag, and I just use all spare bags for project bags. So since I finished that Scrappy raglan sweater, I decided to cast on a summer tee, the Flipside tee by Tanis Designs, Fiber Arts, Tanis Lavallée, it looks like, Lavalllee, with an accent over the first E. One thing I forgot to mention about the socks, so I always knit the small size with small needles because I have long skinny feet. And so the cast on is 56 stitches. I really prefer the 60, but if the pattern doesn't work out for 60 stitches, then I will go down to 56 because that is better than 64 for my foot. So let me show you. I actually did a gauge swatch, and mostly for color, but I also did for gauge. So this is my gauge swatch, and these are the colors I ended up choosing. You probably, if you saw my video last week, I was trying to decide and couldn't really. This is a hand-dyed yarn that my mom gave me. This is a Knit Picks gloss, and this is a nice soft yarn fingering weight that I do not remember. I bought it, yeah, I think in 2019, could have been 2018. Could have been 2018 that I bought it to make mittens, and then decided I didn't want to use that color, so it just ended up, it's been in stash for that long. So this is a top down sweater. The pattern is basically, it's hard to see, but the pattern, the neckline is, it's not ribbed. You cast on the number of stitches that you need to cast on, join in the round, and you immediately go into short rows. Well, I did that and I didn't like it. It was also too big. So I decided I was going to do like a little ribbed collar before I started the short rows. So that's what I have. I am using a size smaller needle than what's recommended. It's recommended a size 5, and I am using a US size 4. So, and I think this is gonna fit. I cast on the smallest number. As I'm doing the raglan increases, I am going to measure the yoke just to make sure it fits. So I may end up modifying this further so that it is has a bigger yoke than what the pattern would call for. So here's the short rows in the back. I think these are German short rows. Very easy, no need to pick up the wraps. You just knit. The technique is, it's kind of a yarn over and then you just knit the two together. So it's not a true wrap and turn. I find it easier to keep track of, especially if I'm watching TV or something. So my plan is that since I have the glosses in 50 gram skeins, I'm going to do 8 rows in that color. This is a 100 gram skein and it's 16 rows in this color. And then this, I think I'm going to do another 8 so that because I wanted the feature yarn to be this variegated color. So I think this is going to be very pretty. And I'm kind of hoping it goes fast because I don't know if you watch the We Grow Wild podcast, hosted by Martina, who lives in Italy. She just released an episode, hopefully that'll stay up there without falling over. She just released an episode where she talked about her summer knitting plans, and she has a lot of summer patterns, tank tops and sleeveless vests and things like that. And there's a couple patterns in there that I'd really like to knit. So I may have to look into those. I haven't finished watching the episode, so I don't know if you could hear the skittering. That was, I think, Harley running by. No, that was Herbert. So, anyway, the boys are playing, and it's a little distracting. But those are some plans that I have. Plus, you know, and there goes my my bag falling on the floor. So I have to pick that up. Excuse me. Okay, the bag is with my yarn. I mean, the bag fell over upside down. My knitting spilled out, and you know, you can't have that when you have cats around who think it would be a really fun game to play, to mess with your yarn or possibly eat your knitting. I'm on my second cup of tea. It is probably about 7:15 or 7:30 now, and I am getting ready to go to work here shortly. So I just wanted to talk about, that's really it for the knitting part of this. So I was just gonna kind of talk about what a busy week it has been at Hoot Owl Haven. I set a goal last week. Last weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and it was very rainy here. I have a bicycle trip coming up. We are going on a bike trip to celebrate my birthday in June. And it's a 250-mile route that we are going to alternate between staying in motels and camping. So we will be carrying our stuff on our bicycles in panniers and bike rack, and the route is mostly on gravel, I think some pavement. We both have gravel bikes. So I set a goal. Well, before I talk about that, there's also a Cross Washington ride, and it's technically not a race, but some people treat it as a race. And it starts on the very west coast, on the Olympic Peninsula, I think near Forks, Washington, which if you were a Twilight fan, you might be familiar with Forks. So it starts out there, starts out on the beach, and then you ride all the way across the peninsula. You have to catch a ferry to Edmonds, which is south of us, and then continue riding a route that goes, it's 750 miles total. I think the state of Washington is, it like, as the crow flies, because I guess we think crows fly in straight lines, it's probably 350 miles, maybe including the peninsula. But the route itself is 750 miles. And it starts around Mother's Day. So it starts in early May. The weather can be quite questionable here in the Pacific Northwest around that time. Although on the east side, it's typically can be dry and nice over there, not too hot yet. All that to say, one of the riders had been riding every single day for like 300 days. And I thought, I wonder if I could set a goal to ride my bike every day for a month between Memorial Day weekend and the end of June when our trip ends. So I have been doing that. I'm making that a priority. I have been doing lunchtime rides. I have ridden in the rain. So last weekend, I rode a short route in the rain. I rode a route after it stopped raining, which was really nice. And then Randy and I rode together, I think it was on the Sunday, and I had planned a short route. It was just sprinkling, and we were just kind of like, well, do we want to do this route or do we want to do this other route? And since it was only sprinkling, we decided to do the longer route that also went up a very steep hill. And of course, and the bottom of the hill is the furthest away from home. And that's when it started raining. So the good news is we're riding uphill, we're keeping warm. It was a very hard hill. I had to rest like 4 times. And I'm in decent shape. I mean, I can ride most hills, but that one was steep. I mean, it was so steep. I guess Randy has a bike computer that also measures grade, and I think one of the pitches of that hill was like 22 degrees, so very steep. I couldn't even physically turn my pedals at that point. It took, I don't know, I want to say like 20 minutes to get up the hill. So it was quite a long hill, and then it was primarily downhill almost all the way home. I mean, just except for a few, small hills that were very easy to ride. And by the time we got home, we were both soaking wet. You wear a rain jacket, and then you're exerting yourself, and you get yourself wet from the inside out. So that was quite a ride. And then the next day I rode. So I've been riding every day since. It has been nicer since then. I think I rode one day in the rain. That was it was Tuesday, because it was a lunchtime ride, and I just did a really quick ride. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show screenshots of my routes, and many of them will look the same because I have done the same lunchtime route like 3 or 4 times in a row. 5 miles, very quick. It takes me 30 minutes to do that, and it's a great way to meet my goal. Today is going to be gorgeous. I am going to try to ride this afternoon for maybe a couple hours, so maybe 15-20 miles. That is my plan. Like I said, it's been a busy week. I had to commute yesterday. Went to a celebration of our community navigators who are closing the gap between government. I work for county government and the community. So I work in a very diverse community. There are populations of people I had never heard of until I started working for this county. So it's really neat to get to understand, get to know them and understand their traditions. I mean, they're just really inspiring and beautiful. And it was a really great celebration, and I just really look forward to working with this group more in the future about some of the projects. And the reason for this is, the way government typically works is that there's these policies that it's kind of a policy down. The government sees an issue, makes a policy to fix it, and generally without any input from the community that's impacted. And sometimes it works out for some people, but ultimately what ends up happening is that there's a lot of resentment about these policies without input. So the point of these community navigators is helping, it's really to create better government so that the community has some input on the policies. And we know we all start with common ground on some things. And I think if you've watched me before, I work in the on-site sewage program, and I think there's always been an assumption that everyone who has a septic system is on a level playing field. And that just simply isn't true. There are some people who have a lot of resources. There are some people who have no resources, and it can be very impactful to try to maintain a septic system, just the cost of an inspection, or if it needs to be pumped, or particularly if there's a repair or a replacement, which can be quite expensive. It can be as expensive as your roof, maybe even more. So very important. I think the level playing field that we can start from is that no one wants sewage in their yard. No one wants sewage backing up into their house. So that's where we start. And then where do we go from there? Well, that's where the community input comes in. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I've had a lot of work stuff on my mind lately, and so, some of it's getting inserted here into the podcast because that's life. I hope you don't mind it. I hope you gain something from this, and if you have any comments, I am always happy to entertain them. I have also been working with Bragi on trailer training. He has made some progress. It's very slow progress. I am just looking at this in the long game, and my trainer's coming over at 12:45 to work with him, work with him. So between work, which is going to start in about 15 minutes, and when my trainer comes, I need to go, or I think I already said this morning, I need to make a trip to town to pick up the allergy shots for Bragi, and my trainer's going to show me how to administer them. So busy day, weekend, more bike riding. I'll keep you apprised of that. More knitting, of course, it's summer sock camp. So hopefully I should have a new cast on by next week. And one pattern I've shown before, and I'm still trying to sort out what yarn I want to use for it, is these larch peds. This was a free pattern from the local yarn store tour. That was, I think, a weekend or two ago. So I'm still trying to figure out what yarn. They are shorty socks. I don't love shorty socks, so I will probably put a cuff on them. Just because shorty socks tend to slip in my shoes, and I don't love that. I think that's all I have to talk about. Reading and watching. We finished watching American Idol. We finished watching The Voice. We finished watching So You Think You Can Dance. We're still watching the Master Chef Junior, which is a Gordon Ramsay show. It's a really cute show. I got this book, Misunderstood Vegetables. So a lot of great recipes in here using vegetables you may not think of. And they're often like the cheaper vegetables, like parsnips or celeriac, which is very tasty. I've only used it a couple times in different dishes. So looking forward to that. One of the first recipes I want to try is a fava bean recipe, but I am still waiting for the fava beans to grow in my garden. So they are getting tall and have lots of pretty flowers, but fava beans are usually supposed to be a spring vegetable. I have a feeling I'm gonna get fava beans in June. The vegetable on the front cover is Romanesco. I have never used that. My sister has, and she made a yummy dish with that had a cream sauce. And this one I think is mostly dairy free, so looking forward to the recipes in that as well. And I'm also reading a mystery book by, I love mysteries, especially pretty mild ones. I don't like horror, and I don't like thrillers. I think there's a couple of genres. I like sort of gentle mysteries, if murder mysteries are gentle in any way. So that's what's been going on. Like I said, it was a busy week. I have to commute one day next week and have another public meeting. We are doing a local code change. So we are interacting with the public quite a bit to get some feedback on some of our proposed changes. Some of the changes we have to make because they're minimum standards set by the state. We have to do those, but we have some other internal policies and changes that we do have some flexibility on. All that to say, I should probably get to work and end this podcast. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Saturday, May 25th, about 6:30 or so in the morning. It's the year 2024, raining again. Good morning, everyone. It is Memorial Day 2024. Odin and I are taking a little walk. It's been raining all weekend. It's actually been raining, not just the weekend, but for quite a long time. I want to say like this is going on week 3. Might be exaggerating a little bit. So not much horseback riding because the trails are ucky, and frankly I'm kind of bored with riding the roads all winter. So I've been focusing on my bike, and I've been doing some bike rides even in the rain, including yesterday. Part of it is because we have a 250-mile bike ride scheduled for the 3rd week in June, and I want to be ready for it. On the other hand, I feel kind of guilty about neglecting the horses, even though they are far from being neglected. Isn't that right? Oh. So I thought I'd get out for a walk. Part of it, my back's a little tight, and I thought a walk would do me good. The other thing is I'd like to get more trailer miles with O. So we are lucky enough to live like 5 to 7 minutes away from the trailhead, and Odin's fine with that. The furthest away, I think, might be 25 minutes, and he's pretty fine with that. But what if we want to drive an hour or two to go to something? So I thought, as part of a precursor to today's walk, is that actually we took the long way to the 7-minute trailhead and got on the freeway. So I can't recall a time that he has been on the freeway since I brought him home from the Mustang Yearling Washington Youth auction event it was a showcase, an auction event for Mustangs in 2018, and I didn't have a horse trailer at the time, and my dear friend offered to drive over with me and take her horse trailer, and of course came back with a horse in it. Now Cleveland is about 2.5-3 hours away from here, so that was his last very long trailer ride. So would like to get involved more in that. I'm inspired by Diary of an Endurance Rider, a Canadian woman who does endurance riding, has had a lot of endurance rides, and I'd like to start with a green bean, which is like 15 miles. We haven't ridden that far yet, but I feel pretty confident we could do that. We'll both be tired, no doubt, but I believe that the nearest one's at least an hour and a half away. So need to start practicing that, and getting out on walks is good for both of us. So, sun's coming out. We haven't seen that in a while. All right, see you soon. So I just wanted to take a moment to show these beautiful forests here. I know I have shown these before a lot of times when I am on horseback, so sometimes it's hard to see just how amazing these views are. So Odin's having a little snack. And here I'm blowing, just a good sign of relaxation. So I'm sure these will be logged eventually, as the neighbors have been logged. But, it is a working tree farm, and we're lucky to be able to recreate here.